Ciao a tutti, hello everyone. I'm Alessandro from l'Ira del BACCANO and you're listening to Doom and Stone Latino America.
Hola, bienvenidos a Doom and Stone Latinoamérica. Mi nombre es Román Tamayo y continuamos con esta serie de especiales alrededor del mundo. El día de hoy tengo el placer de platicar con Alessandro de esta increíble banda. Oh, it's really complicated for me. Can you pronounce for me the name of the band, please?
Yes, of course. It's Lira del Baccano.
Let me try now. Lira del Balcano.
Perfect. You got
Perfecto.
it.
I got it. Welcome, Alessandro, to the show. Thank you so much
Thank
for your
you.
time. I really appreciate it.
Thank you for having me. And hi to all your listeners.
Thank you, thank you. Well, of course, the first question, and we always open with this question, is can you tell us about your first music memories and how did you get involved in heavy music?
First music memory was when I was really young, watching something on TV, and I had a sort of guitar toy or toy guitar. I don't know, is it English? And yeah, I realized that I was so attracted to music, and I was like 5 or 6. I was already wanting to play guitar, even if that became reality years later.
Wow. Do you or did you remember any specific band that changed your life?
Many in reality. I mean, the first band that I remember, the first guitar riff that I remember was Dire Straits' "Money for Nothing." That is the first guitar riff that I can remember. That I said, oh, it's nice, it's good. I like this sound. And for band, probably Metallica and Iron Maiden. For the hard, I mean, the change going to the hard music.
Do you remember your first album? I mean, when you buy your first
Yeah,
album, which
piece
one?
of Iron Maiden, Piece of Mind on tape. First album that I bought. I was 11. I was 11.
Wow, in Italy, was easy to get access to all this music or not? Because context in Mexico during, I know, probably the 80s, 90s, it was really, really complicated to get this kind of music. So the people travel to the United States, bring their records, and they share their records through the tapes. So it's like, oh, my friend went to the United States, he brought this album from Iron Maiden, so let's go to his home and record the album on tapes, and the people start to share the records on tapes. I know what happened in Italy was similar, or it was more easy to get access to the music.
No, I think it was more easy because I mean, of course, bands like Maiden were on a big label, so it was not difficult. You could watch the videos, video clip. Probably "Can I Play with Madness" was my one of the first video clip that I watched on TV. And but I remember when I was 11, I remember that already there were a lot of underground record shops in Rome. So yeah, it was not so difficult to get into a very underground. I think that I bought my first Voivod album when I was 12. So I mean, it was not so
Wow.
difficult to to reach that. Fortunately for us.
Yeah, yeah. And well, and now I want you explain a little bit the context of this stoner doom scene in Italy. I talk a little bit with the guys of UFO Mammoth and also with Gabriel from Heavy Psych Sounds Records. But in your experience, how was the scene? How born the scene and how progressed the scene through these days?
Well, Italy always had a good scene, I must say. I mean, talking about us before changing the name in Lira del Baccano when we became instrumental in 2003. First, our name was Losing of Frequencies, and we made a mini CD in 1996 produced by
Wow.
Paul Chain that you probably know.
Wow.
And
Really, really, wow. I'm going to share with you a story with Paul Chain and a Mexican man, but later, later. Continue, please.
I have a lot of story about Paul Chain if you want.
Whoa. Well, let's talk about the scene first, and then we can talk
Yeah,
about Paul
okay.
Chain.
So already in those years, it were the first album of UFO Mammoth came out. The bands like That's All Folks, Akaju, Kaiku. There were a lot of bands in the scene, and of course, I think in every other country, the scene evolved on the same level that probably that internet evolved, because the web made more easy for underground bands to get in contact with editors, with fanzine, with site, blog, and etc. So, and in Italy, Italy have a great tradition of music in general, even if we are not so famous for, at least in mainstream, on a mainstream side, for heavy music. But the Italian progressive of the 70s is one of the most famous in the world. And the funny thing is that progressive in Italy was considered pop music. So something, yeah, you could see the name of bands like pop music. And it was a good thing because it was something for everyone in that sense. Then became something a little more posh. Let's say.
Yeah. Wow. And well, you I guess you discover bands maybe like Caius Fu Manchu, and that changed something. I mean, these bands got the sound for you
Yeah,
guys.
I must say that, of course, when I was 12, 13, 14, when I recorded my first demo when I was 14. And of course, in that sense, I was all about thrash, death metal, and things like that. The band that let me really use the brake and slow down was when I listened to Paradise Lost, Shades of God. That was my game changer. The first time I listened to that album, uh, everything changed for me. Everything became suddenly slow and
Yeah,
heavy.
yeah. Wow, that's really interesting. Usually people say maybe Caius, Black Sabbath. Wow,
No,
that's
but
wow.
I saw Caius, the last tour of Caius of the Circus Lives Town in Rome.
Wow, really?
Uh, yeah, I think it was the year. There is on YouTube a famous clip of them in Italian television that a lot of people post. I think that was that year, 95, probably, something like that. 90, I don't remember right. But the day after they played in Rome, the day after that clip,
Wow,
I think.
that's amazing. Lucky guy.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, yeah. I was very lucky in that sense. Yeah, but Paradise Lost were who made me really change. I got I remember Nick Holmes wearing a Trouble t-shirt during those years. So, and Candlemas t-shirt. So I started to listen all those bands, really.
Wow, that's amazing. And well, now let's talk about Lira del Bacano. How the project born, how you decide to create this band, and why instrumental music. And yeah, I know it's very common now in these days, but maybe when you start the band, it was no you very
No, no,
uncommon.
actually not. Yeah, well, I must say that Lira del Baccano is an evolution of something that started when I met the other guitarist, Roberto, and we started to play together in 1994. So for us, Lira del Baccano is the evolution of me and him making music with other people that change in the course of the years. But me and him, Lira del Baccano as fundamentally my riff, my ideas, my making together the improvisation that we play during rehearsal. His guitar sound that Roberto made all the effects, synthesizer, all the slide guitar. That is one of the most recognizable sound of Lira del Baccano. And we have changed during the years drummers, bass players, especially bass players. We had like a bass player for each album almost.
Wow, it sounds like the Melvins, but in Italy.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and we became instrumental. As I told you, the name of the band was Losing of Frequencies. So the mini CD that I told you came out for Bird of Stars Records. That were the same label of which the first two for Mammoth came out.
Mm.
And Then we changed in 2003 in Lira del Baccano because we lost our singer, and since it was very difficult for us to find a voice that we liked. So after some times we decided, yeah, okay, we are playing instrumental, let's start to think instrumental. Instead to make songs that should have a voice on, let's think instrumental. We liked, so we continued in that on that path of instrumental music. It was 2003, yeah.
Wow. It's really also interesting that your first album is a live album. It's not an studio album.
Yeah, it was this. I mean, that was the MySpace was still the platform in those years. And in those years, I used to work, be associated to a live club, a venue outside Rome. I was also the sound technician of the venue. And so we were not very active as live band. We only had rehearsal. And so I worked at the club for 3, 4 evening each week as sound tech. And I met a lot of bands. So everyone was of the musician I work with asked me, what you're playing? I say, instrumental music, but we don't play live anymore. And a lot of people say, you should organize a gig here. So after we said, okay, let's make a gig in which the sound technicians are the musicians this time. I record the concert, and after some friends listen the recording, they say, you should mix these recordings and put it out. And that's what I did, and was on MySpace. And the first version was free on MySpace, and we had the download, and we had like 5,000 downloads. I mean, today it's impossible, even if for a free things, to have 5,000.
What's up, all you stoners and doomheads? This is Nick from the band Elder, and you're listening to Doomed and Stoned Latino America.
Regresamos aquí a su Doom and Stone Latinoamérica. Estamos platicando con Alessandro de esta gran banda italiana Lira del Baccano. Y pues bueno, primero le cuestionamos sobre sus primeras memorias musicales y qué bandas lo influenciaron para adentrarse a esto de la música pesada. Dice que cuando él tenía 6 años jugaba con una guitarra de juguete y que quizás no de manera consciente, pero eso influyó a que en el futuro él pudiera ser un guitarrista, se dedicara y le encantara este mundo de las guitarras. Dice que cuando tenía por ahí como 11 años compró su primer cassette, que fue el Peace of Mind de Iron Maiden, y junto con Metallica fueron las bandas que lo influenciaron, que lo llevaron a esto de los mundos densotes, pesadotes, rapidotes. Y pues bueno, dice que en aquellos años en Italia sí era fácil conseguir música, a diferencia de México. Tenías acceso a muy buenas bandas. Dice que cuando tenía 12, pues bueno, ya estaba escuchando el Voivod, imagínense. Era bastante sencillo, a diferencia de México, donde se tenía que ir a Estados Unidos, se traían discos, se intercambiaban cintas en el chopo, viniles, bueno, era todo un mundo por ahí. Y pues bueno, por supuesto le preguntamos sobre el contexto de la escena italiana Stoner Doom. Y bueno, dice que Italia siempre ha tenido cosas buenas. El progresivo es algo muy característico de esta región, de esta zona. Dice que curiosamente el pop, o el progresivo más bien, es considerado pop allá, y después se volvió como algo más posh, ya saben, acá algo más la señor francés, mientras más virtuoso toques mejor. Pero bueno, también sé que tiene una gran tradición en cuanto a la música pesada, y por ahí pues bueno, del 2013 es cuando nace este proyecto que se llamaba la Lira del Baccano, pero pues antes de eso tuvo una que se llamó Losing Our Frequencies. Y pues bueno, en 1996 ellos grabaron un mini CD y lo produjo el mismísimo Paul Chain. Así que pues bueno, este fue como su primer acercamiento con esta escena densa, pesada. Y dice que también en aquellos años empezaron a surgir bandas como no puedo pronunciar bien, es Akanjo, no lo sé, no lo puedo pronunciar, es italiano, muy buena banda de stoner. También UFO Mammoth en That's All Folks. Y bueno, cree que internet fue lo que ayudó a que estas bandas pudieran explotar y fueran más conocidas. Y pues bueno, él tenía 14 años cuando grabó este primer demo, este mini CD de Losing Our Frequencies. Y la primera banda que en verdad le impactó, hizo que tocara más lento, fue Paradise Lost, y de ahí para adelante. Mucha gente dice Caius, Black Sabbath, no sé, otras bandas, pero en su caso Paradise Lost fue la banda que lo llevó a conocer otras como Candlemas Trouble. Y hablando de esto, dice que él tuvo la fortuna de ver a Caius en su último tour por ahí de 1995. No se acuerda exactamente el año, pero parece que ese fue el último tour de Caius. Y pues bueno, hablando de esto, pueden ver una presentación que tiene en la televisión italiana. Y bueno, ese es el último tour de Caius. Y respecto ya al IRA del Baccano, y le preguntamos que cómo es este proyecto y por qué instrumental. Suponemos que en aquellos años no era algo tan común como lo es actualmente. Y dice que bueno, el IRA del Baccano es una evolución. Es la evolución del trabajo entre él, Alessandro y Roberto, que es el otro guitarrista. Y desde 1994 están trabajando juntos. Dice que él es quien lleva los riffs, quien se encarga de hacer toda esta parte pesadota. Y Roberto es más de efectos, sintetizadores, usar el slide. Y bueno, la gente con la que han llameado alrededor de la banda, pues bueno, han sido siempre bateristas, bajistas. Siempre es un proceso de instrumental y por supuesto de jams, ¿no? Losing No Frequency, pues bueno, estuvo en el primer sello que editó Aufo Mamut. Y pues bueno, eso fue como su primer acercamiento de manera más profesional antes del IRA del Baccano. En el 2013 es cuando nace ya la banda en forma. Y bueno, esto se debe a que perdieron a su vocalista. Y dijeron, no, pues saben que es todo un tema volver a conseguir vocalista. Vamos a tocar instrumentalidad y para adelante. Le han dado durísimo. Su primer álbum es un álbum en vivo y eso está muy curioso y le pregunté por qué. Dice que él trabajaba en un venue como técnico de audio y pues bueno, un día empezó a conocer bandas y todos le decían ya toca, ya toca. Y dijo, bueno, vamos a hacer un pequeño show. Dice que en ese tiempo pues no tocaban mucho, era una banda muy underground. Entonces pues hicieron un show ahí como para los compillas y lo grabaron. Entonces pues la gente lo empezó a escuchar y dijo, oye, esto está buenísimo, deberías de sacarlo. Y pues bueno, fue así como lanzaron este primer disco, que en realidad es un live álbum. Y bueno, lo compartieron en MySpace, la primera versión era gratuita. Dice que llegó a tener 5000 descargas, imagínese usted. Pero bueno, vamos a seguir escuchando al IRA del Baccano desde Italia. Ya regresamos aquí a su Doom and Stone. Trépele.
E si crede il padrone del cielo. In secundis a Napoleone e si crede il padrone della terra. E per ultimo al boio qua e si crede il padrone della morte. Ma soprattutto posso perdonare a voi, figli miei, che non siete padroni di un cazzo.
Tommy from Farflung, and you're listening to Doomed and Stoned Latin America.
But well, your first studio album is Terra 42, so tell us about how you create this album, the beginning of this album, the recording process. So tell us everything about this first album.
The Terra 42, even for us is Terra 42, of course, was inspired by Douglas Adams' books, The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, and had a song that was a 32-minute song, even if, of course, on the vinyl version we had to cut for obvious reason the song. Almost all the album is around that the Improbability drive, and it's probably our most progressive from a technical point of view album so far. As I told you, we were not so active live, so we had a lot, but we played a lot in rehearsal room just for fun. So we start to build this song with the idea to never repeat almost a riff or a theme. And we started to build it. It's 5 minutes, 10, 12 minutes, 15 minutes, 20 minutes. And we arrived at 30 minutes with almost no repetition of sort, but trying, of course, to have a sense of in the trip from the start to the finish of the song. And so then, in that period, we met our friend of Subsound Records, Davide, the owner, label manager of Subsound Records. He listened to the song, he liked, and we said, okay, let's do an album and let's become a normal, real band, or a serious band if you want. So we went in the studio, recorded the album, and I produced the album as every album of the band. And that's it. The album came out in the end of 2014 and had a really, really, really good reception from critics and fans. And then everything started again.
I love this album. I think it's just amazing. And well, also I love that you guys can combine perfectly space rock and also these progressive sounds. I mean, progressive rock is part of your DNA. You know, it's like a Mexicans and mariachis, and you know, it's very amazing that you can combine both worlds. And well, now I want to talk about your new album, but before that, you toured recently in Europe, so tell us what happened with this tour, how was this tour, and how do you feel to tour after COVID? So yeah, tell us a little bit about this, please.
Yeah. Actually, we came back 6 days ago from 10 days around Germany, mostly. We played 1 gig in Italy and 8 in Germany. Has been really, really cool. After all this pandemic break that we had, was so incredible to be on the road again and play. Because the last tour was in 2019. The first days of December we came back, and then everything started after 2 months later. We had a lot of changes because our original drummer, that has been the drummer for the first 3 albums, decided to quit for health reason. He could not play anymore live and things. So that has been a really heavy step for us after 16 years to change the drummer. Also because drum is a very important part of our music. But fortunately, a good friend of him and us took his place. And I could sound strange this, but one good side for us of the pandemic, no offense for anyone, of course, was the fact that this break give us the time to arrange to this new situation. So the new drummer, Gianluca, had 2 years of preparing the set with the old songs. They are not easy songs to play at all. And to enter the band, and so we started the create process for the new album. So we reached in 2021 when we record the Cosmic Evolved Potentials, that is the new album, and that he was fully inside the band and ready to record with us. Was fully Lira del Baccano drummer.
That's incredible. Well, now I want to talk about your new album, Cosmic Evoking Potentials. So tell us the behind of this album, the recording process, and how do you feel to record an album during the pandemic, and well, now after pandemic, of course. And how do you feel to record this album with a new drummer? I think it's so different and it's a new sound, fresh sound. So, but yeah, tell us a little bit about this, please.
Actually, we decided to record live again, not in concert, because the first is not only live, but it's the first album, Sinons et Desis, is live in concert. And for this album, we decided to go outside Rome in an old mansion from the 18th century of a friend of ours. There for 3 days, we set up all the equipment in this room, big room with a great acoustic, and we recorded live for 3 days. And the funny thing is that we had a pre-production for the album, so I prepared everything with metronome, and we finished to throw everything away, the metronome, only play with instinct, because when we were recording, we realized that the songs were not coming out as we wanted, because the rehearsal factor was lacking in that moment with the metronome. And so we say, okay, fuck it, let's stop the metronome, and let's so much so that we, at the end of the session that we record, we still had some times, and we start to improve an improvisation. There was like 1 hour of improvisation. And at the end, I decided to take 30 minutes of this improvisation went in the album, because they were so good that I think, okay, I throw away a normal song for this improvisation, because it's too good to keep it out of the album. So it was of course, it was during the pandemic still, so it was strange from a perspective, not knowing exactly what to do with this album still in that moment. But now it's finally out.
Yeah, record an album during the pandemic is a challenge. I can imagine how stressful was to record the album and then try to figure out how to release the album, and which channels used to share the album. No, it was really terrible, but luckily we are living a different era. We are okay. And well, talking about the new album, tell us about the behind of the artwork. The artwork is just amazing, so I want to know who is the artist who created this amazing album and the meaning of the artwork, please.
Yeah. All our albums are, the artwork is made by an Italian Roman artist, Fabio Listrani. He also worked for Marvel, a lot of different, he made some covers for the X-Men too, I think. So he's an all-time fan of the band from the MySpace era that I told you. So the first time that we collaborated with him was for Terra 42. Then in the moment that I had to choose an artist, I remember him. I say, I like this work. So I say, okay, you are a fan of the band. You want to make the artwork. And every album of us, every T-shirt that we made, the artwork is made by him. And for this one, it's I asked him. I gave him the title of the album, Cosmic Evolved Potentials, and I told him that I wanted something powerful. And so he went for this. Let's make this man that is in some way is the same of the cover of another album of us, Paradox Hourglass. It's like an evolution another level of evolution of that man. And in the center, like it was the sun, you can see the planet around him. And yeah, I mean, he showed me his idea. It was so simple, but so powerful. That was exactly what I wanted for the album. The other artworks in the past had much more details, much more things to look around the cover. This is very impactful, very straightforward. You can see the man, you can see his eyes, his hair, and this planet around in the cosmos. But I really liked, and it seems that people are really liking the artwork also
Yeah,
this time.
it's so beautiful. I love it. I love it. Great work. Congratulations to the artist.
Thank you very much.
And well, I guess, well, this is a supposition. Do you like a lot of sci-fi stuff? Maybe movies, books, or not?
Yes, well, I mean, we like so many things. So it's fortunately for us, we are all people very curious. I mean, it's the base of our band is to be. It's also how we see our listeners. I can only think a listener of this band like a person that is very curious.
Yeah.
Because otherwise you will never stay for 20 minutes listening to a song. No, try to guess what's coming after this riff and this other riff.
Yeah.
You know. So yeah, we are all very fascinated by sci-fi, by mythological way. You can see a lot of reference of the pagan time in Italy in our artworks. On Terra 42, there was all the Diana goddess of hunting stuff, all the deers, the things in the cover. And yeah, so we're very, very into a lot of different stuff. And sci-fi is one of them for sure.
Yeah, yeah, because when I start to listen the band and the artwork, it looks like you love sci-fi, so that's why I asked. So yeah, that's really amazing.
Absolutely.
And well, now I want to talk in general terms about the gear that you used to play on live, basically on live, not on studio, mostly on live. So can you explain us a little bit in general words, what do you used to play? I mean, bass, drums, and maybe guitar, pedals, caps, if it's possible, of course.
Okay, of course. I mean, as about guitar, we are Lane guys. I mean, I have it here. You cannot see it well, but it's here. It's my Lane GH 100L. I bought it in the 90s.
Wow.
And the other guitarists have the same head. And so we play this Lane is our sound because we only use the distortion of the head, the drive of the Lane.
Wow.
So it's our distortion. It's the Lane sound. It's from 1997. And until 1 year ago, I never changed the tubes of my.
Whoa.
I forced it because one broke to change the tubes. My tubes had something like 25 years old.
Wow.
So, and the other guitarist Roberto still did not change the tubes. So
Wow.
his tubes have more than 20 years. So absolutely don't trust to tell you that you have to change the tubes after, because we have tubes from 20 years and they still rock.
And especially in these days with the crisis of tubes, it's you know, I read a lot that the tubes have a lot of problems. They make the tubes in China, so a lot of problems with the tubes. So yeah, that's a good advice right now.
And in fact, when I changed all the tubes, it was very expensive in 1 year ago. Even if I must say for this last tour, I mean the 10 days that we've been around, I bought another Lane head for the tour, the little rack valve tubes head from Lane. There is a 15 tube head. For a matter of, I mean, I didn't want to go around with my 30 kilograms head. Honestly, I'm too old, too tired to get around. with that. So in these last two, our equipment was very smart because we have this smaller head, but Lane, so the distortion was still Lane. That is very important for us. The drum, a friend of us gave us for the tour this home handmade Italian drum that is like a matrioshka.
Wow.
It's the tom of the drum goes inside the floor tom. And both shells goes inside the bass drum, like a matryoshka. So you have just one bag with all the shell of the drum.
Wow, that's crazy.
Yeah, crazy and very convenient for a matter of space.
Yeah.
Because we were able to to rent a smaller van for the tour. That means less money, etc., etc. But yeah, let's say that coming back to the equipment, that Lane is our sound, absolutely, 100% Lane. Lane caps, Lane heads.
Yeah.
And about the other sounds, I mean, as I told you, Roberto is the other guitarist that made all the other things, but not as many guitarists that I know that have this huge pedal board. He only and people are astonished when they see him live because he's so fucking good with the slide and things. He only used one wah-wah, one delay, an old Akai delay, and he customized the pot. He made some round wood things on the Akai, so he can with the foot he can change the parameter while you play the guitar. We are a very do-it-yourself band.
soy Kurt de los Tano Experience de Chile. Estamos aquí con Román de Doom and Stone Latinoamérica, disfrutando de estas excelentes preguntas y esta linda tarde acá en Chile. Les dejo un abrazo a todos los psicodélicos y dumeros.
Regresamos aquí a su Doom and Stone Latinoamérica. Estamos platicando con Alessandro del IRA del BACCANO desde Italia, una banda que va ya muchos años, muy legendaria. Le preguntamos sobre su disco Terra 42, Terra 42. Y pues bueno, dice que antes de hacer este disco ellos tenían una canción que estaba basada en los libros de Douglas Adams, que eran como la guía de la galaxia. Y pues bueno, dice que empezaron a llamear un día y que ese jam duró 32 minutos. Dice que era un disco o una canción más progresiva y que bueno, en ese momento no tocaban mucho, pero la idea de esta canción era que no se repitieran los riffs, que no hubiera repetición de nada. Entonces, como se imaginarán, pues eso llevó a 32 minutos y en aquel tiempo conocieron a la disquera de Subsound Records y les ofreció hacer un disco ya en forma. Y en 2014 dice que formaron ya una banda normal, así lo dice él, y se ríe bastante. Y dice, bueno, pues yo me dediqué a producir también el álbum, aparte de tocar. Y pues bueno, en este 2014 lanzamos este gran álbum y fue recibido de manera increíble por toda la crítica. Este año 2023 por fin regresaron de tour, después del COVID, después de muchos contratiempos, y le preguntamos cómo fue turear en Europa después del COVID. Dice que hicieron 10 días de tour, 10 en Alemania, hicieron solamente una fecha en Italia. Dice que fue algo increíble volver al camino. Dice que desde 2019 tenían planes de salir de tour, pero tuvieron que cancelarlo. Y bueno, en ese tiempo del COVID su baterista tuvo que renunciar a la banda por problemas de salud. Y bueno, Jan Lucas, quien entra al quite y en la batería, dice, bueno, pues fue muy duro porque llevamos muchos años con este baterista y tener a alguien nuevo pues puede ser una nueva aventura, complicado. Y bueno, casi le pasó lo mismo que a los de UFO Mammoth. Y pues bueno, dice que este baterista nuevo se aprendió todas las canciones dentro de ese periodo del COVID y pues bueno, lo cual dice, pues no es una tarea fácil para empezar, ¿no? Nadie llena esos zapatos tan grandes, pero lo hizo bastante bien y a partir de entonces decidieron invitarlo a formar ya parte de la banda de tiempo completo y empezaron a trabajar en un nuevo álbum que se llama Cosmic Evoken Potentials. Es un nuevo álbum que acaba de salir justamente. Y pues bueno, dice que para este disco ellos se volvieron a grabar en vivo como en los viejos tiempos y se fueron a las afueras de Italia. Se fueron a grabar a una mansión del siglo XVIII. Estuvieron ahí metidos 3 días. Y bueno, dice que grabaron todo en un gran cuarto que tiene una acústica increíble. Imagínense ustedes, una mansión del siglo XVIII. ¿Cómo debe sonar? Es una brutalidad, me imagino. Lo podemos escuchar obviamente en el disco. Dice que la idea de este disco era que tuvieran como una preproducción, ya saben, metrónomo, setear todo. Muy mono para que ustedes me entiendan. Entonces llegaron a grabar el día de la grabación y se dieron cuenta que lo del metrónomo, que esas ondas no iban a funcionar. Entonces dijeron, ¿saben qué, muchachos? Vamos a hacerlo con el puro corazón, con el feeling. Entonces así es como grabaron este álbum, puro feeling, lo que iba saliendo, lo que iban sintiendo, así lo iban trabajando. Y pues bueno, dice que en cuanto al disco, también hay una parte importante que es el jam. Dice que tenían sesiones de jams así de una hora, y de ahí, de esos jams, iban saliendo las ideas y a veces las cortaban y decían, esto puede encajar en alguna canción, lo podemos ir trabajando de esta forma. Eso es algo increíble. En cuanto al arte, pues bueno, lo hizo un artista de Roma, él se llama Fabio Listrani y él ha hecho tapas, covers para Marvel, estos cómics, ya saben, Marvel Comics. Y pues bueno, él es fan de la banda. Desde el Terra 42 ha estado trabajando con Lira del Bacano y también ha diseñado todas las playeras, todo lo que tiene la banda. Dice que Alessandro dice que le dio como la idea, las canciones de lo que iba el disco a Fabio y le pidió algo simple pero fuerte. Entonces, pues bueno, ustedes pueden ver el arte es simplemente brutal. Es un personaje que venía en anterioridad, que estaban usando con anterioridad y fue como la evolución de ese personaje. Y pues bueno, fue muy hermoso ver cómo este personaje evolucionó. Es simple pero contundente, duro, fuerte, y los colores, la paleta de colores, es increíble el arte y bueno, el sonido también del disco. Me encanta. También le preguntamos a Alessandro si le gusta la ciencia ficción. Yo suponía que el IRA del Bacano estaba muy centrado en la ciencia ficción. Y dice que en realidad les gusta de todo. Es gente muy curiosa, todos los que están en la banda. Dice que también les encanta la parte de la mitología, los dioses paganos de aquellos tiempos italianos, el sci-fi. Y pues bueno, esto es lo que conlleva, lo que desemboca en esta maravillosa música y todo el arte, todo lo visual. Y finalmente, en este bloque le preguntamos sobre el equipo, el gear que usan para tocar en vivo. Y bueno, Alessandro nos dio el truco, la magia. La magia proviene de los Lani. Tiene un GH100L de 1997 y también Roberto tiene el mismo amplificador. Ellos usan la distorsión de Lani y esa es parte de la magia. Eso es lo que tiene el sonido del IRA del Bacano. También dice que pues bueno, en el caso de Roberto usa un wah, un delay y una Kai, que también es del delay, que lo hizo custom y bueno, juega mucho con él en vivo. Dice que desde los 90s, en el caso de Roberto, no le ha cambiado los tubos o los bulbos, como le decimos aquí en México. Entonces dice que, pues bueno, a pesar de que todo el mundo sugiere, en su caso, dice que ha estado bien así, que a ver hasta dónde duran. Finalmente dice que tiene una batería. Para este último tour un amigo les hizo o les prestó una batería italiana custom, que es como una matrosca, es decir, como que diferentes partes de la batería van a una dentro de otra. Por ejemplo, el tom, tenemos nuestro tom de piso y ahí pueden meter el tom de aire, los dos de aire, y pues bueno, así se va haciendo, ¿no? De tal forma que queda unas pocas piezas y esto lo pueden subir sin problema a la van. Pero bueno, vamos a continuar con este viaje trepidante. Nos queda un último bloque con Alessandro del Lira del Bacano desde Italia. Ya regresamos aquí a su Doom and Stone. Por cierto, se vienen las historias del Paul Chain, así que quédese, se va a poner muy bueno. Y por supuesto visite nuestras redes sociales, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, Doom and Stone Latinoamérica. Sabe que puede encontrar todos los episodios de Doom and Stone Latinoamérica, Acid Nightmare y Electric Church, por supuesto en Spreaker, Spotify y YouTube. Ya regresamos, trépele.
Hi, I'm Ethan from Primitive Man, and you are listening to Doomed and Stoned Latino America.
Well, it's time to talk about the legendary Paul Chain, and I know you have a lot of stories related with Paul Chain.
Okay. One thing. Guitars. Guitars. I have a yellow. Now it's yellow SG Gibson SG. Actually, my guitar was Paul Chain's guitar. It's one of the guitars that he used to record Outcast, the album with Lidoria. And yeah, I bought from him in 1996 when we recorded the mini CD as Lucy No Frequencies in Pesaro. And yeah, so my guitar was Paul Chain's guitar.
Wow, that's crazy, man. You have a treasure there. That's really amazing. Well, Paul Chains have a relationship with some Mexican bands from the 80s, 90s. So one of the most iconic bands is called Semefo. But well, Semefo is the acronym for the Mexico City Morgue. So yeah, this collective explore death, violence, and pain through music, performance, videos, photography, and installations, and they incorporating organic materials from corpses, for example, horses. I know they are crazy. Well, they were crazy on that time. And well, this collective the musicians travel to Italy, and Italy they record an album with Paul Chain. And actually Paul Chain record one song with these guys called Larvarium, and Larvarium is the name for one of the most iconic pieces of art of this collective. And one of the guys who participate in this collective travel in other time to Italy to record an album with a band called Humus. They are very famous in Italy. Actually, they play psychedelic progressive music, and they record an album with Paul Chains. And Jorge Beltran, he's a good friend. He told me a history about how Paul Chains lose one eye. So basically, the myth says during one night, Paul Chains have like a dream, and this dream, a crow told to him to take off his eyes with a thread for, and I don't know if this will open like no like at the gates or something, or the perception or his perception about reality. It's like a open your third eye or something like that. But well, that's the story that Jorge told me. And well, Jorge, after to record this album, he came back to Mexico, and he started to feel sick. He spent a lot of time in the hospital, and well, like a shaman or this kind of magic people trade to Jorge, and this old lady told to Jorge, you need to do this kind of things, and if you doing these things, you will recover your health. So basically, Jorge, participate like in a kind of ritual, traditional ritual from this shaman, and at the end Jorge recovered his health. And well, that's the history of Paul Change and Jorge Beltran, Humus, and also the band Semefo.
Our story about the eye was a little different. Yeah, it had something to do with a green demon, something like that. I don't remember. So it seems that as every urban legend, it seems that change depending by in this case by the source of the.
I mean, it's really strange and curious that a Mexican band, underground band, record an album with Paul Chain, with different bands, and not much people know about this story here in Mexico. Because I know Paul Chain's a big icon in the doom scene, but if some people know Paul Chain in Mexico, but he's not very famous here. But I mean, the people who love this kind of sounds knows the name of Paul Chain, and for us, it's like a Mexican band record with Paul Chain. Wow, that's crazy. And I know now Paul Chain is Paolo Cateno, and he changed everything. So, but well, tell us about your relationship with Paul Chain. I'm very curious to hear the stories.
Obviously, for us, Paul Chain was a myth. I mean, a god to us. Before meet him, I'm talking about before the experience, okay, with him, of course. And so I remember Alcest came out, and and you could find his number of his house on the album in that. So we just called him and say, yeah, we're a band. In that moment, that was still before Losing of Frequency's name. The very first name, sorry, I forgot this, was Dark Awake. That was our first demo in 1994, was under Dark Awake. And so I called him, I sent him a tape of our reaction, say, would you like to produce? And he said, yes, I like. Then translated was, yes, of course, you will pay me. So, of course, I want to produce your album. You know, when you're young, you're very naive. You think, yeah, you will like the music. Okay. Of course. And then we went to Pesaro. It's like 5 hours from here. And it was really a strange experience because he had such strange behaviors as daily life behaviors. He would work only 3 days per week. So we had to go there 2 days and then go away. And so all the process is, even if it was only a mini CD, 25 minutes, was very long because he also didn't work every week. So we went there for 2 days. Then the month after, later, we went for another 2 days, so it was a long process. And there was some strange things, like we slept in his apartment. That is also where you can see a lot of picture of him with Lee Dorian, where he recorded the Alcest album. the record studio was his apartment in Pesaro. And I remember that we were not allowed to go to the bathroom. The bathroom was on the sleep side of the house, and we were sleeping where he used to have all the records, the vinyl things. And we could not go to the bathroom until he was up in the morning. To go to the bathroom, we had to go down. There was a bar open. So which was the problem? That if you wake up in the morning, we were all sleeping together in the same room, 6 of us, we were 6, in sleeping bags, surrounded by this huge collection of vinyl. And if you have to go to the bathroom, you have to wake up another person that will keep the door open while you go to the bathroom in the bar in the morning, and then coming up. It was really, it was crazy. Some crazy, but on the other side, is a genius on the musical, from our musical point of view, of course. And every genius is strange, for definition. Let's say it. So yeah, it was crazy, but it was also really fun.
Wow. And I'm very curious, what happened with Paul Chain? And now it's Paolo Cateno, and it's supposed he's not like an occultist or something like that.
So it's Paolo Catena. Paolo Catena. When we were there, it was out of this occult stuff. Of course, one of the things that I wanted to see when we were there was his famous cross guitar. Have you seen the guitar with the cross form?
Yeah.
Yeah, he told me that he burnt the guitar. But yeah, okay. Probably he sold it. But yeah, it was absolutely out of that type of things. Didn't want to talk about that SS and all that stuff, because for him it was bad fortune. And he was the one that forced us to change the name, because he told us that Dark Awake was not a lucky name.
Wow.
So we could discuss if it was right or not about that, depending by the point of views of that.
Yeah.
But yeah, we changed the name Illusion of Frequencies in that moment. So we enter his apartment as Dark Awake. We went out as Illusion of Frequencies. That was the...
Wow,
yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah, that was the deal.
Last question about Paul Chain, because you are in Italy. Paul Chain is part of the popular culture in Italy. He's famous, or is just like an underground guy who, the people who loves Doom, Stoner, knows the name of Paul Chains, and we love Paul Chains, but they all Paul Chain, the occultist Paul Chain. But nobody knows what happened with them.
Probably Paul Chain is more famous outside of Italy than in Italy. If you sum up all the people that know, thanks to the Doom scene around the world, Paul Chain is actually more famous outside of Italy. Because in Italy, really only the people, and nowadays he's not very much active. So a lot of metalheads in Italy don't know Paul Chain, of the younger metalheads, because he's not active.
Wow.
So yeah, so I think that probably it's more outside of Italy there is. I remember when I was there, and if I can find it later, I will, or next days, I will send you some pictures that I have of those days. I have a nice picture of my guitar in his studio, and with an autograph of the lead Dorian, because I went to see a Cathedral gig a couple of years later, and I have this picture of Paul Chain's studio, and I told Louis Dorian if he could sign my photo.
Wow.
And not so famous at all, but for the underground people, really.
Yeah, but well, let's back to Lira del Baccano. It's been a long time on the road. So how do you feel in this point of your career, guys? I mean, it's not easy to continue working. You, Ufo Mahmoud, I mean, you are one of the longest bands on the road from Italy. So how do you feel, guys, in this point?
Uh, it's hard. It's very hard. We have been blessed to be on the road again. Honestly, I some months ago I started to think that that would not happen for various reasons. The general situation, some personal reasons, and things because you know you get older, you have bills to pay, you have, and I mean we are a very small underground band. So we are absolutely. I mean, UFO Mammoth is one of the biggest bands, so we cannot compare our life on the road with UFO Mammoth life on the road. I mean, we must cross fingers to get even when we go on the road. And yeah, it's hard because I know that we reach a point. For example, these gigs went very well. There was people, good cachet from the venues, but we get even. We are okay. We have money to go on the road again without putting money from our pockets. And it was important for us because every one of us have another job. It's not our job; it's just passion for us.
Yeah.
So I mean, I'm a sound engineer. That's my job. My job is to take money from musicians. My passion is to give money as a musician. So I got this
Yeah.
double way
Yeah.
of dealing with music, you know. So it's not easy. We hope of course now the album just came out, we hope to have the possibility to promote it the more that we can. And I really hope that next year, because I already know that this year will not happen, we'll be able maybe to participate at some festival, because I think that really lack in this band is the possibility to have a bigger audience. We never had.
Yeah.
We just played a couple of festivals, not big, and so I know that to make that little step forward for the band would be to be able to enter the bill of one of those. I'm not talking about bigger festival as Freak Valley or things like that. Also smaller German festival, but I know that that would be very important to be able to do it, and still did not happen for us.
Well, Alessandro, we left just a couple of minutes.
Mm-hmm.
So one of the last questions is, a lot of young people start to discover this kind of music. So can you share with these kids, especially with the kids, some advice how they can survive on the road, how they can continue with the band? Any words for these young kids?
Do you mean listeners or musicians?
Both.
Both? Oh, okay. For the listeners, I mean, they are in the most lucky place ever. I mean, nowadays you can find and reach every music that you want. You just have to, as I said before, you just have to be curious. Sometimes, since when you have too many things to choose, it's hard. As a paradox, became more hard to choose something. But don't fucking waste this opportunity, kids, because I mean you can listen everything, you can listen something and decide to buy it before. I think that old people like me didn't have once, so don't waste it. Same for the musicians. I know that there are a lot of talk about some, you know, Spotify, all these things about money and things. But since, as we said, we are here for the passion, not for the money. I mean, it's never been so easy for a musician to put out music. Then it's too much music, it's okay, but do your music, do it good, do it for real, from the art, from your mind, your soul, and you will find someone that will be very grateful to listen to your song. Aside Pink Floyd, King Crimson, another great band, he or she will have your song in her playlist, and that's great.
Yes, thank you, thank you. And well, where the people can get the music of Lira del Baccano, where the people can buy a t-shirt, a vinyl,
We
CD,
have,
where?
of course, we have a Bandcamp, so they just have to search for Lira del Baccano on Bandcamp or go to our label. There is subsoundrecords.it. And or Instagram, search Lira del Baccano. Contact us on Facebook in any way or form, and we will serve you in a way or another our music.
Yes, perfect. Well, Alessandro, thank you so much for your time. We really appreciate it. It was a wonderful interview. So, some final words for the people here in Mexico or Latin America, around the world, of course.
Uh, so what I would say that it would be so cool to come there to play or to visit in any form and as a personal thing, I mean, because I've always been very fascinated by Mexico. So yeah, I hope that more people will from Mexico will discover Lira del Baccano, and hopefully we will be part of your days, of your night, of your good moment with music. And like, I hope to see more Mexican on our pages.
Yes, perfect, perfect. Thank you so much.
Thank you to you, really. Thank you so much. From me and other of the bands, of course.
Hi, I'm Peter from Lowrider, and you're listening to Doomed and Stoned Latino America. Rock on.
Regresamos para decir adiós aquí en Doom and Stone Latinoamérica. Estuvimos platicando con Alessandro de Lira del Baccano, esta gran banda italiana. Y pues bueno, vamos ahora a platicar sobre las historias de Paul Chain, este legendario músico místico, ocultista, gran figura del Doom. Y por supuesto, la verdad es que hay unas, no sé, opiniones encontradas entre si es un genio o simplemente estaba loco. Pero bueno, dice que Paul Chain, hablando de Paul Chain, dice que él tiene una guitarra SG Gibson que le compró en 1996 y esta guitarra la usó para grabar un disco con Lee Dorian. Y bueno, yo le platiqué un poco sobre la historia de Semefo y Humus, yendo a Italia y conociendo a Paul Chain. Le platiqué la historia que Jorge nos ha dicho antes de cómo Paul Chain tuvo una intervención divina que le decía que sacara el ojo y que esto iba a abrir como su tercer ojo, iba a abrir las puertas de la percepción. Y pues bueno, con un tenedor se lo sacó, ¿no? Las cosas bien locochonas que les tocó vivir, la canción que hicieron con el colectivo Semefo. Y bueno, también como a su regreso a México, Jorge Beltrán, después de grabar con Humus allá, se enfermó después de trabajar con Paul Chain. Y bueno, fue a través de unas limpias, unos chamanes que Jorge pudo recuperar su salud. Y bueno, esas son las historias locochonas que le estuvimos platicando ahí al Alessandro. Y dice, se ríe y dice, esto del ojo es muy curioso porque cada quien lo cuenta de manera diferente, es un mito. Dice que a él le dijo que era un demonio verde y bueno, es parte de la leyenda urbana, ¿no? Y dice que antes de conocer a Paul Chain, pues bueno, ellos lo veían como un mito, como un dios. Y bueno, dice que cuando tuvieron su primera banda antes de Losing All Frequencies, en 1994, pues bueno, lo contactaron porque en el disco venía su nombre, su dirección, y les preguntaron, oye, ¿puedes producir nuestro disco? Y dijo, ¿si me van a pagar? Sí, claro, vénganse. Entonces, pues bueno, los produjo y dice que tenían que viajar mucho tiempo para llegar a su casa, muchas horas, y nada más pueden ir 2 días a la semana. No podían quedarse en no sé qué trips traía el Paul Chain, pero solo podían estar 2 días en esa casa. Y bueno, dice que esa casa tenía fotos con Lee Dorian, del mismo Paul Chain. Y bueno, dice que no les dejaba ir al baño a menos de que él estuviera despierto. Entonces pues dormían en un cuarto donde estaban todos los discos de Paul Chain, todos sus vinilos. Y pues bueno, 6 personas durmiendo en ese cuarto, y ya se imaginarán cómo estaba ahí sin poder ir al baño. Entonces pues bueno, al final dice que Paul Chain podrá estar medio tocado, pero pues bueno, a su manera es un genio. Ahora se llama Paula Catena. Y pues bueno, le preguntó que qué había hecho con la guitarra esta en forma de cruz muy famosa en la foto, y dice que la quemó. Y pues él no quería ya hablar nada de eso, del ocultismo. Dice que él ya estaba fuera de eso, ya no quiso hablar de Dead SS. Entonces pues bueno, él decía que hablar de estas cosas solamente traían mala fortuna y mala suerte. Entonces pues como que cuando encontraron ya al Paul Chain, ya no era el Paul Chain que todo el mundo se acordaba, ¿no? Ese tipo locochón, ocultista, no sé, muy, muy peculiar. Entonces, pues bueno, Paul Chain, a grandes rasgos, pues bueno, es un personaje muy peculiar, un genio del Doom, alguien que fue adelantado a su época, pero que quizás al no tener el reconocimiento mundial o esta fama como un Arthur Brown, a lo mejor Alice Cooper, pues bueno, como que se quedó en el underground y se quedó en el olvido, solamente con muchos fanáticos del Doom conocen quién es. Y bueno, no es una figura ni siquiera que esté en la cultura popular italiana. Dice que el que es más famoso, Alessandro dice que es más famoso Paul Chain afuera, en otros países, que en Italia. Entonces, pues bueno, también él tuvo un papel importante en el cambio del nombre de la banda, que fue cuando se llamaron Losing of Frequencies. Y pues bueno, ese fue las historias de Paul Chain. Si quieren saber más de Semefo y Paul Chain, pues bueno, pueden encontrar por ahí varios documentales enfocados en este colectivo o escuchar el trabajo de Jorge Beltrán con la banda Humus en su Bandcamp. Ahí les vamos a dejar los links para que ustedes lo vean. Pero bueno, regresemos a lo que nos atañe, a lo que venimos, por supuesto. Le preguntamos a Alessandro cómo puede hacerle una banda para sobrevivir tanto tiempo en el camino, cómo ellos le han hecho para continuar con este proyecto después de muchos años, desde los 90 hasta la actualidad. Dice que es muy difícil, que se sienten muy afortunados de seguir tocando, de seguir saliendo de tour, a pesar de que pues es cada vez más difícil, las cuentas que hay que pagar son muy altas y se están haciendo cada vez más viejos. Dice que son una banda underground y que no se comparan ni de chiste con UFO Mamut, que ellos son mucho más grandes, son conocidos, pero que, pero que a pesar de todo esto, pues no se rinden. Entonces, ¿qué es lo que quiere Alessandro y Lira del Baccano en un futuro? Pues bueno, les gustaría tocar en festivales, sobre todo en Alemania. Dice, no tan grandes como el Freak Valley, pero que más gente pueda conocer la banda, que pueda conocer nuestro trabajo y lo valore. Dice, yo soy un ingeniero de audio, a eso me dedico. Y por supuesto yo tomo el dinero de los músicos, pero también doy dinero como músico. Dice, y es un ciclo increíble que hay que vivir. Y finalmente le preguntamos algún consejo para todos los jóvenes o personas que empiezan con una banda o tienen un proyecto. Dice que no desperdicien su tiempo, que le pongan mucha pasión a todo lo que hacen. No es nada fácil estar en esta industria, pero hagan lo que hagan, háganlo real, háganlo porque ustedes quieren, háganlo por el arte, por lo que sienten, por su alma. Y ese es quizás el mayor consejo. Dice que le encantaría algún día venir a México, a Latinoamérica, y bueno, les manda un gran saludo. Y pues bueno, esta fue la entrevista de esta semana con el increíble Alessandro de Lira del Baccano. Nos quedan algunas entrevistas que se vienen por ahí. Tommy the Dozer, Urlo de Ufamamut, César Cal del grupo Ciruela, el Festival y por supuesto un crossover con el Valis Mortem. Estén atentos a nuestras redes sociales, Doom and Stone Latinoamérica, Facebook, Twitter. Ya se la sabe, nos vemos pronto. Gócela.